This season of MCC has been very hard to shine in, with many older players improving as well as the introduction of some cracked new players. Today I'll be looking at some of the best players in MCC and how they have done throughout Season 2. I'll be going in alphabetical order through the 9 players widely considered S tier, starting with Dream. Dream had a great season, playing in 10 events and winning 3 of them. His average individual placement was 7.1 and he typically scored around 2,803 coins per event. The teams Dream were on typically placed around 4th, which is pretty solid, and he made it to dodgeball 4 times throughout Season 2. He had a couple of lows, like when he scored 19th in MCC 14 and 16th in MCC 21, but overall he was definitely a strong competitor throughout the season and got first individual once. Here are Dream's Season 2 stats compared to his Season 1 stats. Unfortunately, Dream has said that he doesn't plan on signing up for any more MCCs, so we might not get to see him play in Season 3, but hopefully he'll return at some point. Next up is Fruitberries. Fruit did really well this season and played in 10 events total. He only won a single event out of the 10 that he played, and his average team placement was around 5th. Fruit had an individual average of 5.1 and he usually scored around 2,987 coins per event. Here is Fruit's Season 1 stats compared to his Season 2 stats. Despite only winning once, Fruit was able to make it to dodgeball 5 times and is tied for the most amount of dodgeball appearances with Sapnap out of the S tiers. Illumina probably have one of the best MCC season performances we will ever see, despite not winning a single time. He made it to dodgeball in half of the 8 events he played across Season 2, having the best team average at 3.75, but unfortunately he was never able to secure a win. They had the best individual average placement out of any Season 2 player, coming in at 3.25, and got first individual the most, placing first in 3 events. Illumina only fell out of the top 5 once in MCC 24, where he placed 7th, which is still really strong, and if that's not enough to convince you how incredible Illumina really is, he had the highest coin average at 3,221 coins per event. Illumina only played in 2 events during Season 1, and with those events being his first, he didn't do as well as he does nowadays, so his Season 1 stats aren't the best comparison. Next up on the list is one of the newest S tier additions, Jojosolos. Jojo played in 6 events this season and was able to secure a win in MCC 25. Her individual average was 6.16 and their average coins per event was 2,818. Their teams usually placed about 5th place and they only made it to dodgeball once, in which they won. Out of her 6 events, she has placed top 5 in 4 of them and certainly seems to be somebody to watch out for in Season 3. Jojo did not play in Season 1 though, so unfortunately there is no data to compare. PeteZahHutt was an incredible player in Season 1 and didn't do quite as well in Season 2, but he still did really well and his accomplishments are nothing to scoff at. He played in 12 events this season and only made it to dodgeball once, in which he was able to win, and their average individual placement was 7.6 and they usually scored about 2,768 coins per event. Pete did have the weakest teams of any S tier with an average team placement of 6th, but he still came top 10 in 8 of his 12 events. Here are Pete's Season 1 stats compared to his Season 2 stats. Punz was a top contender this past season and it really showed. He played in the most events out of all the S tiers with 13 events and has an average team placement of 5th, where he's made it to dodgeball 3 times. Out of those 3 times, Punz lost twice, but he was finally able to get a win in the last MCC of the season. His average individual placement is 6.2 and he usually netted around 2,852 coins per event. Punz only had 1 weak event this season where he was on a weak team, but the other 12 times he played, he got top 10, which is very impressive. Punz and Illumina both only played 2 events, so there's not much data for Punz to be compared to as well, but here are the Season 1 stats and 2 stats side by side. Purple is another new kid on the block, but he really showed off what he is capable of in the limited number of events he was in. He played in 7 events and he did extremely well in every event after his first event, getting top 3 in 5 of his 7 events. Purple's individual average was 4th place and he usually put 3,019 coins on the board each event. Their teams tended to also place about 4th and he was able to make it to dodgeball twice with a win and a loss. Outside of his first event, Purple hasn't had any weak events, which really shows how much of a powerhouse he is. Purple did not play in Season 1, so I don't have any stats to compare him with, unfortunately though. Quig is up next with a great season and some impressive consistency. He played in 8 events this season and he was able to win his only dodgeball appearance. Their teams typically placed around 5th, as he mostly got middle placing teams, and his average individual placement was 4.6, which he usually got about 3,016 coins in every event. He stayed very consistent over the course of all the MCCs he's played in, and he usually placed within the top 6 besides MCC 19. Here are Quig's Season 1 stats compared to his Season 2 stats. Quig hasn't played in any MCCs since the last time he won, and he hasn't made any content at all, so fans aren't sure if he plans to return to MCC or not. The last S tier we will be talking about today is Sapnap, who had an insane season and proved himself as one of the best MCC players. Sapnap accomplished a lot this season, including 4 wins, Season 2 point record, and many records for multiple games within the 12 events that he played in. He had an individual average of 3.6 and tended to score around 3,130 coins per event. Their teams placed around 4th, and he was able to make it to Dodgeball 5 times. Throughout the entire 12 events he played, Sapnap never dropped out of the top 10 and only dropped out of the top 5 twice. The fact that Sapnap has played so consistently every event is really just incredible, and it shows how truly insane he is. Here are Sapnap's stats compared to Season 1, and you can really see that he just turned into an incredible monster this season. If I had to pick an MVP for the season, it would be between Illumina and Sapnap 100%, and I think you have to give it to Sapnap. It's true that Illumina had a higher individual average than Sapnap, but Sapnap was just able to secure so many wins, and he was the only player to cross 4K this season with his score of 4,223. Let me know if you think MVP should go to anyone other than Sapnap in the comments, as I'd love to hear your opinions. If you guys made it this far into the video, you should definitely subscribe for more MCC videos since you obviously enjoy my content, and thanks for watching!